episode 380. This huge pro wrestling week continues. Tonight, have a recap of AEW Dynamite featuring the return of Adam Cole and the debut episode of AEW All Access on TBS right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hello and welcome, Wrestling Fanatics, to a brand new episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Tomorrow starts all the huge action going on. You can call WrestleMania weekend or even just Wrestling Week, Wrestling Weekend, because it is definitely more than just WrestleMania now. And I'm your host, Lance Brock. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. It is time to talk about a brand new episode of AEW Dynamite. But not just that. Tonight we also had the premiere episode of AEW All Access right after Dynamite on TBS. But the night got started with Dynamite live from St. Louis, Missouri. Commentators Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and Taz. And we start things off with the Jungle Boy Jack Perry taking on Matt Hardy with all ego, Ethan Page in his corner. Pretty good match here with these two. Jungle Boy getting the win. And we see backstage reactions from Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara watching on monitors, kinda upset. And I thought Tony Schiavone here, or Excalibur did a good job of explaining that they were upset because all three of them wanting a title shot at the world champion MJF, and Jungle Boy getting momentum here. And then in the arena, as Jungle Boy is celebrating his victory, we see the AEW World Champion MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And he makes his way down to the ring. He talks about how he teamed with Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt. Although he didn't actually use their names, he used the nicknames that, the not so nice nicknames, I should say, that Jim Cornette uses to describe Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt. I'm not going to repeat them. And Jungle Boy has a good comeback, though, in the ring on the mic. So it looks more and more each week that we could be getting that four-way MJF, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara at double or nothing for the AEW World Championship. Or at least that's what I'm really hoping we get to see. And in the back, I should say, we see Don Callis and Kenny Omega, and he explains to Kenny Omega that he grabbed Hangman Adam Page's wrist and Hangman jerked away, and Don Callis says he lost his balance. And Don Callis asks Kenny Omega why he thought Adam Page hit him, but then he says he's just gonna go apologize to Hangman, and then we see Hangman Adam Page in the back being interviewed by Alex Marvez, and then Don Callis comes up to him to apologize, and then at this time Adam Page is jumped in the back by the Blackpool Combat Club. They attack Page, and Don Callis is still standing there with his hand out. When he apologized, he offered to shake the hand of Hangman Adam Page, so he's standing there with his hand out, and then Jon Moxley punches him, busts him open. When they show a close-up of Don Callis, he is a bloody mess. And we get a video package of 2.0, Matt Menard and Angelo Parker trying to recruit the Acclaimed into the Jericho Appreciation Society. They're hanging out with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, taking them out on the town. And next up we have a trios match. Dalton Castle and the boys taking on the Blackpool Combat Club. The BCC attack Dalton Castle and the boys on the ramp as they're making their entrance. And this one, very short match. I guess you could even say if you blinked you missed it. Blackpool Combat Club getting the very quick victory against Castle and the boys. And actually, I think I went out of order. Got a little ahead of myself because after this match is when the backstage incident happened with BCC attacking Hangman Page and Don Callis. And we see it is now time for the IWGP United States Championship match. Jeff Cobb versus Kenny Omega. But before the match starts, we see Kenny Omega in the back getting ready, and Tony Schiavone comes up to him and tells him what happened with Hangman Adam Page and Don Callis being attacked by the Blackpool Combat Club in the back. And he's concerned at first, but then he says he has a match, and then he goes out to the arena to take on Jeff Cobb. And very good match here. I don't know if I would say it was as good as the Fakino match last week, but still a very good match here. And at one point, Jeff Cobb hits the knee trigger and even looks like he's going to go for the one-wing angel on Kenny Omega, but Omega counters that. He goes for the tour of the islands. Omega counters, and Omega hits the knee trigger and a one-wing angel to get the win against Jeff Cobb. And then after the match, the Blackpool Combat Club gets in the ring, attacks Kenny Omega, and then we hear the music of the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, who we have not seen since Revolution, since he lost the Iron Man match to MJF. And at first, he comes in there, it looks like he is disappointed with the Blackpool Combat Club, because since the heel turn of the BCC. Danielson was not there, and he looks like he's disappointed with Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta. He has them get down off the apron. He helps Kenny Omega up to his feet. But then Kenny Omega, he has his back turned at this point, and then when he turns around, Danielson hits him with a Boy Psycho knee. Also turning heel, the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club joins in, and Danielson gets the lapel locked in, and he even puts his hand over the nose and the mouth over Omega so he can't breathe. So Danielson is now also a heel with the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club, and to be honest, I was kind of hoping that they would have had him maybe keep babyface and separate from the BCC, or maybe not separate right away, but have him where he is disappointed in them and doesn't agree with their actions. But instead, we did get a heel turn from Bryan Danielson tonight. And then we see Security and Brandon Cutler and Nakazawa try to get in and make the save, but that does not work. And next up is the AEW International Championship match. Orange Cassidy defending against the Butcher. And this one starts off with the Blade attacking Orange Cassidy from behind. And they do a little bit of a double team. And the Blade has a crowbar, is about to hit freshly squeezed OC with it. But then the referee stops that and then sends the Blade to the back. And to make this a one-on-one match, pretty good match here actually. Orange Cassidy, I talked about this on GMWF this morning, where there have been times where he's been in matches against guys that are completely different style than him, but they ended up making a good match. And tonight with the Butcher was pretty good. I don't know if I would say a real great match, but it was a good match, in my opinion anyway. Orange Cassidy retaining the AEW International Championship. And Ruby Soho taking on Willow Nightingale, which ends up with a 3-on-1 attack with the Outcasts, the rest of them, Saraya and Toni Storm, and then Riho and Sky Blue come down to make the save, but they still have the numbers game. And then the AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter makes her way to the ring and clears house, and we see Jamie Hayter extend her hand to Riho, help her up, shake her hand, but then the commentators point out that next week in Long Island that Jamie Hayter will be defending the AEW Women's Championship against Riho next week on Dynamite. And it is now time for our main event of Dynamite this week, and it is the returning, or the in-ring return, I should say, of Adam Cole, Bay, taking on Jericho Appreciation Society member Daniel Garcia. This one told a pretty good story. the commentators did a great job of talking about the injuries, and Adam Cole suffered this being his first match back, questioning if he's 100%, and very good match between these two. Daniel Garcia looked very good, but in the end, it is Adam Cole getting the win over Garcia to win his first match back in AEW on Dynamite this week. And then next up, it is the premiere episode of AEW Unrestricted. Really good match between, and sorry, I don't know why I said that, but very good episode, I thought, for the first one. Starts off showing Dr. Britt Baker and the Young Bucks in the first segment, and then we see Adam Cole and Ty Mello and Sammy Guevara. Those were the ones that this first episode were mainly focused on. Very good. Kind of reminded me, kind of like a Roads to the Top or a Total Divas, but this was more focused more on the wrestling, and instead of like their personal lives. I mean, well, it was their personal lives, but they talked more about, showed more of the in-ring too, and showed backstage Adam Cole going to see Dr. Sampson and the Young Bucks, though they did mention what happened after All Out with CM Punk, but they didn't want to talk about it, which I'm not surprised. I wasn't actually expecting them to. And talked about them coming back at Full Gear last November. So far, I know this is only one episode of All Access, but I thought it was very good. I enjoyed it. Definitely looking for future episodes in the upcoming weeks. And if you didn't watch it tonight for some reason, I definitely recommend, if you can, check it out. And definitely next week too, give it a shot. So that's all for tonight. And then tomorrow, things get started with the live episode of Impact Wrestling on Access TV, Ring of Honor. Also tomorrow night, the Go Home Show before Supercard of Honor Friday, and then 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, is Impact Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling presenting Multiverse United, Only the Strong Survive, live from the Globe Theater in Los Angeles, exclusively on Fight TV. And then Friday, we have more GCW shows going on. Thursday into the whole weekend, I should say. And then 7 p.m. Eastern, Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. And then WrestleMania SmackDown. And after that, the WWE 2023 Hall of Fame ceremony. And more GCW shows. And Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern. I had that wrong the other day. I think I said noon. But it is a 1 p.m. start time for NXT's Stand and Deliver. And I think that Saturday afternoon sometime is the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame as part of the collective. And, of course, Saturday night, night one, WrestleMania Saturday, and then night two, WrestleMania Sunday. So I definitely hope to keep having more episodes of 360 Wrestling Fanatic the rest of this week into the weekend. Hope everyone has a great wrestling week, and especially if you're there in Los Angeles, to be there live, either just WrestleMania or if you're going to some of the other shows as well, either Impact and New Japan or Ring of Honor, GCW. Hope you have a great time. And I know it is impossible to do everything because there are shows going on at the same time. Also, WrestleCon going on. And the biggest weekend of the year for pro wrestling. It's here. And that's it for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. And stay tuned for hopefully, I'm not sure how many episodes of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, but there should be more. Gonna try to keep up with all this weekend's going on, and we'll be back tomorrow morning for off Thursday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. So tune in for that right here on Spreaker or wherever you listen to 360 Wrestling Podcasts. Hope everyone has a great night. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.